you tired of your government being all in your pockets, trying to run your life, not trying to pay you your reparations?
So this is a video by Modi Speaks, and what she's gonna try and tackle are the black people who are saying that we should cancel Christmas, which, by the way, done already. So I don't have to worry about that. So let's see what she has to say about this topic. But first,
Well, join the biggest, baby, I said the biggest, join the biggest movement / boycott of 2025. So I know you asking yourself, like, Lady Snoop, what's that? Well, let me tell you. This year, we're going to cancel Christmas on that ass. Now, first off, if you're melanated and you still celebrating these pagan holidays, and you already know what these folks done did to your people, shame on you. To the rest of us that have not been drinking the Caucasian juice and you still got your right mind, I got an idea. This year for 2025, let's not just get one. Let's hit them all, or at least an attempt to. So what we can do, we're going to cancel Christmas 2025.
Just wanted to remind y'all that Christmas is canceled. I know some of y'all may have forgotten, so I am here to give you your friendly reminder that we are mad. Remember? Police brutality, capitalism. Our voice has been diminished. Just want to remind y'all, because
while we're on task, go ahead and cancel Christmas.
Video by a creator named Total Hypocrisy, and she was talking about how, like, what boycotts we should do because everything, right? And I had an idea. Cancel Christmas. My mom has done it, so but look, that would be the biggest boycott we could do.
What exactly is wrong with these black Americans?
so here's the funny part. The only thing that I would have said if someone came up with this idea to me earlier is that no one's going to care that a bunch of people aren't celebrating Christmas. But clearly somebody already cares and is framing it in a specific type of way. I would think that, given the fact that there's millions of people in America who don't celebrate Christmas, that they would see it not as a threat in any way. But I guess that's just not how they see it.
I know not all of them, but a good number of them, in fact, an increasing number of them. What is really their problem?
So, of course, she hasn't given her opinions yet, so I'm going to save what I'm going to say for the part where she starts talking. She's going to play another video by the people who are talking about boycotting Christmas. There's so much information about this anyway, and how many groups don't just celebrate every holiday you throw at them. But let's wait for it.
Should boycott Christmas. That's what's gonna hurt them. Fine, we can't all do a general strike, I get it. Let's boycott Christmas. We don't need material things anyway, it's 2025. Do you really wanna buy all this stuff from the companies that laid everyone off this year? I don't think so. What we want is more time anyway, with our families, with our friends. If you work that day, call off, call in sick. Let's boycott Christmas. We can do this. Let's hurt them where it really counts, come on.
Well, it really depends where you work, but boycotting Christmas might also involve just going to work and ignoring the day and pretending that it's the same as any other day, and then trying to get it past some other day. I mean, I live in Africa, so we have a lot of holidays that have nothing to do with Europe. So there's a big difference there.
We got this.
Hey guys, my name is Modi and you are welcome to Modi Speaks. So my astonishing discovery this morning as I logged onto the internet is that black Americans are canceling Christmas. They said they are boycotting Christmas, getting it cancelled in order to hurt them. Now, when I came across this piece of unhinged discovery, my first reaction was to let out a series of hysterical laughter. Yes, I laughed, and I laughed hard, guys.
Did you laugh at the fact that Christmas was invented by card companies and other marketing companies in order to sell goods to people so that they can have specific days, just like Black Friday or any of these other days, where basically they make a stupid amount of money?
I couldn't help it. I laughed. I was like, what did Christmas do to them? Why Christmas? What exactly are they mad about when it comes to Christmas? What kind of medication do these people need to put their brains in order? Because obviously something is wrong upstairs.
So I'm not a big holiday person anyway, but what is wrong with Christmas? I mean, half of these holidays that you're talking about are religious specific, and they're in a country where you're supposed to value all religions, and they don't necessarily value other people's religions and blah 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 and all this. There's a lot of stuff that is problematic about it, but again, if you want to celebrate it, you can celebrate it. But what's wrong if they don't want to celebrate it? If they feel that the people who created it were not were hostile to black people, that seems like a great idea. I mean, I can think of many nations in Africa in which they could borrow uh, holidays, which would probably replace the same would put a similar tradition where people don't feel left out.
Yes, something is really wrong somewhere. Now, they said they are boycotting Christmas because it is the only way to hurt them. And God, and that sends me on another roller coaster of question, of wondering who is them? Who is them?
White supremacists.
White people? Christians? Every sane human being? My God, I was almost hospitalized myself as I tried to make sense of this nonsense. So, my guys, in order to save my mental health, I would allow you guys to hear from these people yourselves. Let us just unpack this whole madness together, guys, because honestly, this one is too ridiculous for me to handle alone. So, let us hear them speak. Here we go.
Okay, so before she goes through her little game show or show in game form, I want to discuss something that I've noticed about a lot of people in this type of community, not just her, even the white people in this community. I've noticed something that I call the springboard effect, which I think a lot of people keep doing, where they talk about black people a lot because they know it's going to get them a big audience. Somehow they talk about black people a lot negatively or even close to negative. Some of them are very careful about what they say, even though they still criticize black people all the time. And then once they get a big audience, then they shift. And you can see here that, again, she's done with the whole talking about black people in a real, true way or whatever. And she's starting to pivot into like anti-Islam content, which is something that I'm noticing on her channel. You notice this with Candace Owens as well, where it used to be all black, but then when that ran out of steam, then she started pivoting into conspiracy theory land, and now she's just all conspiracy theory. I'm starting to notice the same trend. There's a few other people that I've got in mind who are the same way. Like every now and then they'll mention black people when they need that little boost again, but then they'll then pivot to whatever, whether it's aliens, whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's whatever. But I've seen it. Even if you look at someone like Sargon of Akkad, if you look at all of these people, they've all got this little shift that they do where I think black people are like the springboard for trying to get attention from people, which, by the way, is a very scary thought if you think about it, that there's more people who want to pay attention to like negative stuff about black people than there are people who want to pay attention to positive things. And then once they've been sucked in, then the person starts talking about other stuff that's got nothing to do with that, and they don't fix anything. They just, oh, I'm done talking about the politics, or whatever. Now let's just go through other controversial topics which have nothing to do with what I was talking about in the beginning. Now, I'm not necessarily complaining, of course, because once these people stop talking about black people, it starts getting a little cooler out there. But the problem is it's like that. I forgot what Americans call that game where like there's like a hamster thing that keeps popping up of a hole. It's like when one disappears, then they leave the niche open for some other guy to come in. And there's a lot of people who can't wait to fill that gap. And I've noticed the ones who stay with it, people like Jesse Lee Peterson and them, they're not as big as the ones who then pivot. Like I think you can only grift on this subject for so long and be like, oh yeah, black people suck until it like it runs out of steam, and then you have to talk about Christmas.
No business going into the third quarter making corporations uber rich. After the year we've had, we could literally cripple this country and bring it to its knees by canceling Thanksgiving and Christmas. Easily. They've been planning and projecting for this income since last year, previous years. They do these reports years out. They've been planning and plotting for you the same way that we sit around and be like, oh, I can't wait till I get my time.
On a serious point, what they're saying is not some humorous thing that should be dismissed offhand. It is very important holidays are very important. Let's just pick some groups out here in America that don't celebrate Christmas. I mean, not all of them, but there are people like some Muslims. There are some people like Jehovah's Witness. There are people like Jews. There are people like other people who don't celebrate Christmas. Some black people, right, celebrate Kwanzaa. And there's other people who celebrate other things. And the reason why it's important to think of this as a serious topic is because it does change a lot of things. It does change how you think about life and stuff. That's why there's so much emphasis on them. That's why when, atheists try to cancel Easter or Christmas or whatever, I don't know if they actually did. That was like some right wing stuff a long time ago. When they try to do it, that's why they freak out, because it's such an important thing.
Taxes in February, March. That's what they be saying. This is their taxes, and they be like, I can't wait for Christmas. We might slow down in the summertime, but Christmas, everybody's gonna let their ego, their sense of competition, their consumerism overtake them. Everybody gonna be so short-sighted and ready to just spend some other money. I don't give a.
By the way, what she's saying is like great financial advice. When most people are spending the most, that is probably when you should spend the least. If you're capable of doing that, then you're probably going to be able to save a lot of money. Another thing is, before I forget, obviously people who celebrate Kwanzaa doesn't mean they don't celebrate Christmas. Of course, a lot of them is one way or the other. And then the second thing I want to say is there's a lot of Christians that don't celebrate Christmas because they don't believe that Christianity goes in line with Christmas, especially since most people use that holiday as a way to indulge in earthly things.
Year we've had, we have no business taking our money out of corporations like Target just to wait until November and December and give it all back to them. We have no business. We have no business pouring millions and billions of dollars into toy industries that don't give a about our kids. We have no business making cheap foreign clothes producers uber rich. Like, we don't have no business pouring large amounts of money into this economy. We've been calling for boycotts all year. When did we start boycotting Target? We've been calling for boycotts all year.
Yeah.
So let me just say something about what she just said. I love that she just let it run. What she's saying is actually not even an ideological thing. That's just a logical thing that she's saying. Obviously, the others are ideological, and if you believe in, the African movements, as I do, then obviously those holidays are kind of insulting a little bit. But I'm not saying you can't celebrate them if you don't want to. I don't personally, but when it comes to what she's saying, it's so the rest of it is just normal logical stuff. Like if you disagree with it, if you want to live the other way, that's fine. But she's just talking about money management. How is that? What could you possibly say to disagree with that? Now I can understand if you say I don't care about that. I just want to live my life a little bit during the holidays, and I don't want to feel like other people are having fun and I'm just sitting down. That's one thing. But everything she said there, that crosses all boundaries. Everybody should be able to agree with that statement that she said, except of course the boycott part. I'm sure a lot of people from the other side would disagree with that part.
Yes, you've been calling for meaningless, unreasonable boycotts all freaking year. So are you not tired? Are you not? And I'm actually happy she said that because, yeah, I'm happy she did. But let's hear.
Is that all she got from that entire speech? Why did she let her play for so long if she was going to take the last sentence and try to break that down? And even there, she gets it completely wrong. First of all, the boycotts aren't meaningless. There's a reason why you're talking about black people right now, and it's because black people have been participating in such a way that even people like you who are grifting for white people, even people like you are taking notice of what the people are saying.
Out, guys.
It's millions of people across this country that ain't stepped foot in a Target, a Starbucks, a McDonald's, just to name a few, all year. We could literally cripple this country and bring it to its knees by canceling Thanksgiving and Christmas.
We can literally cripple this freaking country and bring it to its knees by canceling Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Well, that's another fact. You think if the entire black community, well, let's not say the entire, because of course it's never going to be entire. Let's say if 60% of the black people who purchase stuff on those holidays stopped, you think those companies wouldn't start changing their market strategies to try and appeal to those people? You think they wouldn't be sitting there like, okay, we just lost a huge amount of people who usually buy on these days. And buying, of course, doesn't mean just getting something and bringing it home. It's like participating in a larger thing where people get paid in all kinds of ways that people don't even know. You really think that wouldn't make a difference? And also, bring it to its knees in this case does not mean make it fall. It means make them pay attention to specific things. As they're saying, you boycott Christmas, you could probably get other stuff in the way.
Is this the type of statement an individual who loves and respects their country should be making?
Yes.
Is this the kind of statement a patriotic citizen makes? This is just like a parent who gave birth to multiple children, or maybe who gave birth to children and then they look at their child or children and they're like, I am looking for ways to destroy and wreak havoc on the lives of my children.
Actually, it's the opposite of that. It's more like a child who's been abandoned by their parent, and then they say that they're not going to go to school anymore until the parent actually starts paying attention to the child in a non-negative way, or they're not going to do something. Like maybe they're getting bullied at school and then they say, I'm not going to school. And this is going to make you pay attention because you care about whether or not I look like I'm getting my education. So if I don't start showing up to school, it's going to embarrass you, and it's going to make you take seriously the fact that that's happening. That's the analogy. That it hurts you, but it will help you at the end of it. Now, of course, it could go badly. You know, a parent could kick you out of the house and then you have to fend for yourself. But if you have a somewhat smart parent, then they're going to be like, okay, we need to do something. Some parents, they take their kids out of those schools and send them to another one. Others make it worse. By the way, what was that comparison? It's like a parent looking at their child and saying they want to destroy their child. What?
Only parent who can make that type of statement is the most vile and insidious parent who has no iota of love or care for their children. In that same regard,
there's not even something slightly similar about what you said and what she said. Maybe just bring it to the knees part that you're getting is something similar. But again, there's nothing similar. And again, half of these people are telling you that they just want things to be done for them. And the way to do that is by boycotting, protesting, whatever. And when you do that, people start paying attention. And like I said, it's like the analogy of, you know, you're striking, right? If you don't show up for work, it's going to hurt the company. But then at the end of it, you're going to hope that you get the money back. It's such a simple concept that I'm confused how she's confusing these, and also leave it up to her to get something this negative out of something that I think the general population would already see it as like oh, that's not, happening type of stuff. But then you're like, oh, let's go deeper. Let's go deeper into it and try to pull out something else.
Anybody who is looking for ways to cripple their country and destroy their country's economy has no single love for his or her country. In fact, that person is the biggest enemy their country has ever known.
Well, first of all, they didn't say destroy the country's economy. They said it will bring them to their knees, and it said it will cripple the country, not destroy it. In the same way that there's stuff that conservatives and really a lot of people care about, that if you got rid of them, right, there's certain industries, I'm not going to name names specifically. If you got rid of specific industries in America, it would take a lot of money out of it. It would cripple it in a sense, but for the moral good, it will be fine to do that. This would include things like, I knew I said I wasn't going to name names, but this would include things like gambling. It would include things like, I don't know, alcohol or whatever, stuff like that, which some people see as bad, and even adult videos and stuff like that, things that people see as bad, and then they want them completely gone so that they can cripple the society or whatever, so that they can get a better outcome. That's not hate. To try and make your country better by attacking it so that it takes notice is not hate.
Now, looking at the individuals spewing this vitriol, they are all black, meaning they all came from Africa. And that means that...
What? Where is this going now? Look at all the people in this video. They are all black, meaning they all came from Africa. Well, you're black and you came from Africa, so whatever you're about to say must apply to you too.
Their problems have actually been half solved. Because of course, if they don't like the United States of America, then they should book the next flight to Africa, Wakanda to be precise.
Okay, so there's two options here that she's giving us. One, you could either do what they're saying and not celebrate Christmas. The other one is book a flight to another country and live there forever. I think a lot of people are just going to choose to not celebrate Christmas if you give those two options. It's that old argument that everybody always gives. If you don't like it, then get out. It's like, really? Then all of you get out, because I don't see anyone in politics who's fully satisfied with America, who's like, we need to change nothing.
Go. Leave. You obviously detest the United States. So why don't you take a trip back to Africa? Back to Wakanda?
There's so many layers of ironic about this. It's not even funny. It's like, okay, so you come from Africa straight now, like proper, like now Africa. You meet Americans there, black Americans. You don't like the black Americans. Okay, so if you don't like them, you go back to Africa then. What are you talking about? This applies more to you than it does to them. You got to America and now you don't like that there's black Americans in America, then you leave. By the way, I don't know if she's in America. She is talking like she lives in America. It would be pretty odd if she didn't live in America.
Being very, very serious right now. Pack your bags and leave. But no, they won't. They would prefer to accuse America of all kinds of atrocities, but yet they never make a single move to leave this oppressive country, which they so desperately want to cripple and destroy.
I wasn't going to mention this part, but you do realize that like a lot of Americans were forced into America. And so this like pack your bags and leave type of mentality, that really applies to people who ancestrally, voluntarily went to the country. It's like, okay, well, if you like people like you, for example, who if you go to the country voluntarily, then and you don't like things, you go, well, I've got another country to go back to, and you fly back to it. You don't tell people who know nothing about another country to fly to another country. That's so dumb.
Now, look, I understand the principle of economic protest, okay? I do. The civil rights movement famously used targeted boycotts to achieve specific, tangible, and just goals.
Whoa. Careful there, you're gonna lose your audience. What did you say? Just goals? What just goals? You mean like the racism that exists that existed at the time that they were trying to go against? I think isn't your audience completely against that?
They targeted businesses that practiced segregation to demand equality. That was surgical, disciplined, and morally clear. But what
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to check the comments on this one. I want to see if there's gonna be any of her audience that are gonna say that the way that they went about it was surgical and methodical and everything. Because I know a lot of people like to say, people like Charlie Kirk, for example, say that it was a mistake or whatever. Which, by the way, I'm gonna make a video about not that, but the fact that in comments right now, and I don't know why this is happening right now. When you go watch documentaries about Africa, they're like flooded with white supremacists.
what we are now saying is not targeted protest. It is a temper tantrum and an act of hatred, pretending to be a revolution. It is the ideological equivalent of walking into a China shop and demanding political change by smashing the first things you see.
Well, it really depends what the Chinese shop did. I mean, I don't know why you picked a Chinese shop, but I don't know why you're attacking black people either. So I guess I shouldn't worry about that logic. It depends what they did. If they did something wrong and you want to bring attention to it, then you might want to, I mean, don't do it, but you might find that it will bring greater interest to it. You know, like the Myanmar gangs, you know, Chinese gangs that were running scams in Myanmar, Chinese gangs that were running scams in Myanmar, and it took, you know, a good chunk of people who are basically smashing the thing in order to get attention to it. And of course, if you don't know, there's a reason why these gangs don't operate in China, because once China finds out that you're doing anything bad, yeah, they're not America. They're going to give you the sentences that, you know, you kind of deserve. Anyway, if any of you can sense it, I just wanted to put that out there because that story came out a month ago. Apparently, there was a huge Chinese thing going on where they were scamming people from across the country. And China is such a responsible country in a sense that they went and, you know, fetched the gang members with planes. This is the second time I've seen them do this before. Again, yeah.
Central claim, the foundation of this whole foolish enterprise, is this idea that by withholding consumer spending on gifts, food, and travel, they can bankrupt the system.
Well, first of all, it's not foolish. If you actually did do that, if you got enough people doing that, then absolutely will bankrupt the system. What are you talking about? If 90% of the American population, not just the black population, of the American population, stop buying all of the stuff that you're talking about, especially, forget all of it, just if they stop buying the unnecessary stuff, stop paying for the unnecessary stuff, the whole system would start to crumble slowly. So it's not foolish. The logic, it makes sense, but you're already exaggerating their point. They don't want to crush the system. They just want to reform the system. But of course, to you, anything that like is doing something to sort of help black people is like funny. That's the first thing you're going to think, which I'm not going to lie. That's how probably a lot of people are going to think. They're going to think that, whatever, it's them doing it or whatever. To be fair, that's just how people think. That's just how people operate in any country. But, you know, once they get enough, an audience and all of that, then there'll be a problem.
They keep using this abstract word, them. We are doing this to hurt them. So let's talk about who them actually is in the real world, the world outside their ideological bubble. Them is the American small business owner, the mom and pop shops that makes 40% of its annual revenue between Black Friday and Christmas Eve.
Well, of course, nobody wants to bankrupt small business owners, but you know, you can't just let people do whatever they want and every time you want to do something, you put the shield of small business owners up there. At some point, you're gonna take the pain. Everybody's taking some pain. They're not celebrating Christmas. They're not doing whatever. They're not buying gifts. They're saving their money or whatever. Everybody's doing something they don't like. And, you know, the way you're putting it, it's like you're trying to say that people should be forced to buy these things. You know, they don't have to, right?
The craft vendor, the local jeweler, the bookstore owner, these people are not Wall Street executives. They are your neighbors. They are the engine of Main Street.
I've got a feeling that if they said they're just not going to buy from large companies, that you still wouldn't be happy. So I know you're trying to make this point as if it's like this huge differential thing, but in real life, you mean you don't mean the small business thing. How many black people talk about black startups and how they've been ignored, and black businesses, small black businesses that can't, in some cases, afford the type of quality that other businesses can, and then they fail before they can even get off their feet so that they can apply the same level of quality. Do you care about those small businesses?
And these activists are trying to pull the plug on them. Them is the American worker who gets the overtime during the holidays, who gets the seasonal job at the logistics center or retail store. The people who rely on the extra money to pay off their medical bill or to finally put down a down payment on a used car, or simply to make sure that their own kids have a respectable Christmas morning.
You do realize if they don't spend the money on Christmas, that they're probably going to spend it on another day, right? It's not like they're going to die. It's not like they're going to fall out forever. Eventually, they're going to spend the money anyway.
You are not bankrupting Jeff Bezos. You are destroying the opportunity for a single mother to make her rent in January. This is not a blow to the rich. It is a devastating self-inflicted wound on the working class. Them is the community. The holiday season is a massive infusion of capital into local economies. It funds local taxes, supports service jobs, and creates the very community vitality that these so-called activists claim the system is depriving them of.
Okay, so if you really believe that, then let's take Jeff Bezos, for example. Are you then going to go out there and campaign for, at least support people who go against these these internet monopolies that make billions of dollars, so that it can go back to the, you know, small businesses, so that the community businesses don't fall out of favor, and those companies that basically, some of them have been proven to steal ideas from very small people, which, by the way, that happens in many industries: fashion, music, selling stuff, enterprise, whatever you want. They've been doing it forever. So if you really believe what you're saying, then you're going to want to crush these large industries, which, since you're siding with right wingers, I highly doubt you're going to be on that side. Although some of the stuff, I don't know, maybe you will be on that side.
They are asking people to burn down their own house because they dislike the plumbing. This is not.
Or they're asking them to put on solar panels so they can save money on electricity. That would be another way of looking at that.
A revolutionary act at all. It is an act of economic self-sabotage, driven by a level of political naivety that is frankly stunning. The United States economy is vast, It is complex and resilient. A temporary consumer dip, even a large one, will not cripple the entire nation. It will simply hurt the most vulnerable workers and small-scale entrepreneurs who depend on that spending.
Didn't America just have like a government shutdown? The people that you're talking about, the normal people that you're saying couldn't achieve anything like that, didn't the higher ups decide that some people are just not going to get paid for a while? And some people, I mean, I don't even know the full consequences of the government shutdown. I'd love for you guys to tell me some of the consequences of it in the chat, because that did not happen here. But I'd love for you guys to tell me the full consequences of it. Did it affect you guys at all? By the way, that's a good point by me. Why is it okay for them, those Jeff Bezos characters that you're talking about, not necessarily Jeff Bezos, but the political class, to take away money from the ordinary people so that they can get their little political project done and then sometimes fail? But then when normal people do it, it's like this, you're hurting your own people type stuff. What is that?
To survive. This woman is comfortably sitting in her expensive car, which she purchased from a big company, recording this ignorant video on her expensive smartphone, which of course she purchased from another big company. And she will probably drive down to the next KFC or McDonald's to get her next meal.
Okay, I was going to say something about the KFC and McDonald's, but I think what she's trying to say is that she's basically taking big company money. Well, she's giving money to big companies, but that is a pretty weird thing to go KFC and McDonald's. Why that? But let's discuss one of the other things that you talk about. This is that stupid thing of like, you're not allowed to engage in your society because the rules haven't changed yet. This is like when people say, if you hate the fact that they use very cheap labor to create cell phones and conflict minerals, then you shouldn't have a cell phone. That's dumb. Or if you hate the fact that, Nigeria, the French are basically stealing oil there and not paying the local citizens what they deserve they're colluding with the government of Nigeria so that they can make all the money, all the companies of Nigeria, so that they can make all the money and then abandon the people. So yeah, there's all of that. There's all of that you can protest, but doesn't mean you're not going to get into your expensive car. It doesn't mean you're not going to engage in reality. You still have to engage in reality.
After making this ridiculous video, what a bunch of crap. These guys are just horrible. Like, they are just terrible. And their call to cancel Christmas and Thanksgiving shows how they are explicitly attacking the cultural, spiritual, and familial bedrock of the United States of America.
Well, you convinced me, I guess. Boycott over, everyone go home. Apparently, everything that you're doing is just attacking small business, and it wouldn't affect big business anyway. So everybody go to sleep. This is so stupid. Like, by the way, this is not even a bad idea. The only problem with it is that, you've seen how online boycotts, they almost never take place. We'll see what happens when Christmas rolls over. But if people did actually boycott for real, and I'm not talking, by the way, this is the part that actually gets me, and let's just do it. So there was a Disney guy, right? He was running Disney, right? And he retired and all of that. And Disney went in a direction that a lot of Republicans, and I think a lot of Democrats too, don't like. And they basically boycotted it. They stopped watching it. And then Disney lost a lot of money. And then guess what? The guy who retired had to come back to try and save the company. So much so, and I'm just going to reveal this, so much so that they now are offering Disney at very cheap prices in South Africa, trying to save the company. I'm talking about like they're mixing the money of like when you buy data and purchase Disney, so that this did not exist until that happened. And this happened with things like, I've seen it happen with WWE and stuff, and I've said this before, companies in America that are smart, they know that they should have an international market, and then they should sell the same goods they sell in America at high prices at very low prices elsewhere, and that will always save your company. Look at Hollywood, for example. When movies don't sell in America, they'll sell overseas. Musicians, that's a good example. Some musicians, they haven't been sold in America in 10 years, but they're popular overseas. That's just dropping some knowledge on there. But, by the way, this is something you can look up. Go on Google and write that, right? When did Disney start offering cheap prices in South Africa for Disney, or bundled prices for Disney? And then go look, when did the guy return, and when did the conservatives go against Disney to the point where they had to do something?
And that shows you that this is not just about an economic equality, but more about cultural resentment. Okay? They want to destroy white people. Yes.
And there it is, of course. It's not about culture. It's not about, they just want to destroy white people. There's your audience. See, the thing you said earlier, that's going to lose your audience. This one's going to get them back.
They want to destroy their culture and tradition, because Christmas and Thanksgiving are originally white traditions. They are enraged that these traditions have been preserved. They want to be able to boast that white people have no culture, that white people have no tradition. So that is why they are mad that these two important events remain unshakable.
To be fair, none of the videos that you played, I didn't see anybody who seemed like they were mad because it's white people. It seemed like they were just talking about the country for the most part, and how they're not paying attention.
Look at the shared experience of the American holiday, the family gatherings, the religious traditions, the moments of peace and generosity, and they see only something to be punished. They see a system so inherently corrupt that even the act of a father buying a toy for his child is framed as an act of supporting an oppressive regime.
Well, that doesn't make sense. You're reducing it to just one specific event. I think it's perfectly okay for a dad to buy their kid a toy at any day, even Christmas. But I don't think that's what they're talking about when they say you should boycott Christmas. I don't think they mean we should get rid of the idea of kids getting toys, although there is a little bit of a overspending in Christmas, at least in houses that do celebrate Christmas. There's a lot of people. By the way, I did mention earlier that, of course, a lot of people who are of other religions don't celebrate Christmas. But I know people who are of completely different religions who celebrate Christmas. I know people who are Hindu and Muslim and stuff. And this is usually moderate countries, like South Africa is a good example. People who believe in traditional African mythology and they celebrate Christmas. So this idea that like they hate white people and all of that, that's silly. Also, nobody looks at it really as a white holiday. I don't even know if it is, really.
This is the ideology of nihilism. It is a mindset that cannot comprehend the concept of building or contributing. It can only understand tearing down.
Well, it's too late to get into a debate with you about philosophical terms, but I don't think you mean nihilism. Nihilism mainly talks about how there isn't meaning to the universe and stuff like that, and so it goes down that direction. What you're talking about is cynicism, where you just think everything is just a destructive mess, and you could even call it heathenism to some degree. I mean, it would be opposite, really. The people that you're talking about would be, by your religious standards, engaging in heathenism.
You have no positive vision for the future. The only path left is to destroy the present. They don't have a better system to put in place. The only thing they have is a desire to see the current system suffer and get destroyed. And please,
Again, doesn't make sense. All the people that were talking there were talking about trying to make things better, especially for a specific type of people, and of course the country itself. Especially the person who was talking about um how like these holidays are like taking away your money at specific dates and then blah blah blah, all of that. That was just sound advice. I don't understand how you could even go against that. The only way you could get this is if you're looking at everything as completely negative from what they were saying.
I'm not against people protesting consumerism, okay? I am not. Look, if you want to protest consumerism, by all means, do that, okay? Go buy from those small local businesses. Go and donate your money to actual community centers and churches. That would be an economic protest that builds up the community.
Wait a minute. What is going on here? Is she against big business? I did not see that come. I'm glad I didn't commit earlier to saying that she would not be against big business. I guess she's against big business. She literally said that if you only purchase from small companies and you don't purchase from giant companies, that you're making the country a better place. You know how many conservatives are going to disagree with you? And they're going to say, like, instead of being, this is what they always say, instead of being jealous of big businesses, all you have to think is, how can I be big businesses? Which, of course, Democrats always throw back at that, that a lot of Americans, but this is true for a lot of countries, a lot of people around the world, they don't see billionaires as oppressive by dodging taxes and stuff like that. They don't see them as oppressive, but they see themselves as like struggling billionaires, that they're almost billionaires, but they just need to climb a little bit more, which of course 90%, 99.99999% of everybody who's trying to become a billionaire, it's not going to happen.
But that is not what these people, these morons, are asking for. They are asking people to stick their cash under their mattress, to deprive the economy of liquidity, and to root for national failure.
So that was the invisible hand that I was talking about earlier, where it's not just about companies. Of course, when it comes to Christmas, there's other people who are using the banks to bet and savings and all these other things to try and get from the ordinary person. Of course, you can imagine there's a lot of withdrawals of money when it comes to the holidays. So again, it's not just, you think that it's just purchasing items, or you think that it's traveling from one place to another, but everybody's making money.
This is a betrayal of the American dream itself. It is the most privileged form of radicalism imaginable. A protest that demands the ultimate sacrifice, not from the corporations they despise, but from the warehouse workers and the cashiers.
Well, apparently you despise those corporations too.
They claim to champion. Why are these people so willing to be the cheerleaders of their country's decline? Why are they so willing to sacrifice the prosperity of their own neighbors for an abstract, unachievable, and destructive ideological fantasy? Could it be because they don't care about the country? At least, these ones we saw in this video do not care. The strength of America is not in its government necessarily, okay? It is in the grit of its small businesses and the resilience of its families.
Okay, so again, I'm guessing people who are thriving, as you mentioned, a lot of the people in those videos in a country, I'm pretty sure they don't want to see the country break down, because that would take away their thrivingness. So obviously you're just making stuff up when you say they want to see the country get destroyed. But even you mentioned something that you literally are against giant businesses that basically are monopolies, and you're saying that people should do something about it, and that will be a good thing. So you're basically on their side. You just disagree ideologically on whether or not it's correct, because obviously there's a side you're going to it. And of course, again, there are people who are spiritual, who like Christmas, and they're not going to stop celebrating Christmas because they don't see it as another thing. And that's fine. That's their thing. But there's such a difference. There's such a difference going on. And I've talked about this, the whole debate about Christianity and the two ways of looking at it as like this oppressive religion, when in real life you can also look at it as of something we made up. And of course, I think we have to look deeper into, before there was Christmas and all of that, how did Ethiopians celebrate all the days of the religion? Actually, I'm going to do a video on that.
You do not destroy the economy to achieve justice. You build a stronger economy so that justice and prosperity can reach every single American family. That is the way it is done. So as you move into this holiday season, guys, I urge you to tune out of the noise. Ignore all the chicken littles on social media who are screaming that the sky is falling down and that the only solution is national self-immolation.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. That was pretty clever what she did over there. That was pretty smart. I don't agree with her point, but what she said, what she did over there was pretty clever.
Instead, double down on the things that actually matter, guys. Spend time with your family, support a local business, give to charity that is doing real work, tangible work in your community, and yes, celebrate the traditions, cultural and spiritual, that make life worth living. Do not allow these movements of resentment to redefine the American experience.
Yeah, she's got a good way of, like, I don't know how she does it, but she's got a good way of like saying the same thing over and over again, but in like different ways. She's been saying this the entire video. Ignore them, celebrate Christmas. Ignore them, celebrate Christmas.
The way you win is by choosing to build where they choose to burn down. You choose
again, you just said that again, and now you're saying it in a different way. What's the next one? You're gonna pour in the cup where they choose to drink?
Prosperity where they chose poverty. You choose tradition where they choose cynicism. The American economy.
That's weird. She brought up cynicism. Why didn't she do that earlier? That was the word that she was looking for. She went with nihilism. Yeah, what she's saying doesn't make any sense. Again, you can achieve different goals and different aims. Let's keep going.
Will not be crippled by this nonsense. But if you stand silent, the spirit of the American holiday season might be. Please do not let that happen. But as always,
okay, video over. So same typical points, but with a different bend to it. At least this time she's not like taking violent scenes and creating entire political opinions on somebody hitting somebody else. This was her attempt at talking about this. She has no idea what she's talking about. The idea, by the way, is a good idea. It's actually a really good idea, to the point that it would be frightening to those people for real. Also, it sparks a lot of questions about, and for me, I'm going to make a video about this, about the holidays that were not just holidays, but like the special occasions that were celebrated in those countries. Obviously, Egypt is the easiest to find, but we have books and books about Africa, so we know that we can find all this information about what they celebrated, how did they see each month or each whatever.